What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about the Wyckoff method. All right, so the Wyckoff method. You probably have seen a lot of videos on my channel about this method already, but I wanted to make a video a bit more for beginners. And that's simply because I know a lot of beginners want to get into using this method, but they just find it very complex, very complicated. So I wanted to make a brief explanation and give you examples and show you how I use it. So first of all, what is the Wyckoff method? The Wyckoff method is basically a way to look at the market in terms of what a bigger player in the market is doing. Because you have to realize, we as retail traders, when we press buy, we can instantly get filled because we trade with a small size. But a bigger player that wants to enter the market and, for example, buy a lot of stock or a futures or whatever it is, if they buy at one price, a huge order, on the other side there has to be someone selling to him, otherwise the order won't get filled. And that can really cause a lot of losses for a bigger player, because let's say, and I've said this before, but let's say he wants to buy here 1,000 lots, just an example, of course, it's with different numbers, but let's say he wants to buy it with 1,000 lots and there are only 300 lots selling at the price. That means only 300, if he is lucky, if he gets all the sellers, only 300 of those 1,000 lots get filled and the other ones get filled at a higher price. So he's buying at a higher price, and maybe there are only resting 50 orders here, 50 lots. That means the rest is going to get filled here and then here. And it depends on what market you trade, because some markets are thinner, so there aren't as many orders resting than others. But this is essentially what happens when bigger players want to trade the markets, and they tend to build a position. And that's where you see accumulation and distribution ranges, such as the one we see on the screen right now, such as this. So what actually happens during these ranges is that a bigger player splits his order. So let's say he has 1,000 lots. For a quick example, he's going to scale in a bit here, excuse the drawing, a bit here, and basically he builds his position during the range. And this is done via an algorithm. They don't do this manually. They have software that just does this behind the radar, but you can still get a clue of what's happening if you read the price correctly. And that's what Wyckoff is about. It's about analyzing supply and demand during ranges, seeing what happens when boundaries of ranges break, such as here, and then analyzing and anticipating on that. So first of all, markets don't like to just reverse. You probably have seen it before, even if you're a beginner. You get a range, a break of the range, retest, and then you get a new uptrend. And then at the end, you get a distribution range and then a downtrend. So reversals tend to start with ranges, false breakouts, and then the real move up, and then a continuous trend with small ranges, such as the one we see here. So if we know that ranges tend to be the beginning of a downtrend or an uptrend, whichever way it happens, we can build a strategy around it. And one thing I want to tell you is that be patient. This is the hourly chart. Look at how long you have during a range to pick the right entry. This is well over a week. It's almost 2 weeks of price action within a range. And during this time, you can analyze, plan, become better, and then pull the trigger when your strategy tells you to. So let's analyze the ranges. Let's analyze the phases to give you an example and an explanation of what actually is going on within these ranges. So first of all, Wyckoff uses different terms. And PS is a term that's being used to identify the end of a trend, basically the stopping of previous trends. So this is your downtrend. And here we see a firm rejection We haven't seen that before. If you take a look at all the ranges, we haven't seen such a firm rejection yet. So that tells you something. Then we get this move. And if we take a look at the length and also the strength of that move and compare it to any retracements during the downtrend, you can see these were just minor retraces. But if we look here, all of a sudden, a strong, aggressive retrace. So that already tells you, okay, watch out, don't be short because something is up. Then we go down, then we make a new low. So again, the trend is not over yet. But as soon as we make a new low, again, a strong rejection there. And then we go down, but we can't make a new low. And this is really your phase A in terms of Wyckoff. So if I'm going to put in some lines, then this is your phase A. So phase A is all about stopping previous trend. This is where profit taking happens. This is where the previous trend is being stopped. And if I'm going to label all the things, then you can, maybe it's more clear for you. If you Google, you can find templates that were about the Wyckoff method that might be useful for you. That makes it a bit easier to understand this. Now, nowadays, you see a lot of terms, and especially this one, the COCH, that term, you see it a lot. It means a change of character in the markets. And that just shows you, like I said, look at these violent moves to the upside. We haven't seen that during the downtrend. That's a change of character. That should tell you, okay, something is up. And those moves are very important to give you a clue about something shifting in the markets. Okay, so then if we zoom in a bit and analyze the range properly, we go in a phase of choppiness. We chop, we make lows, but we don't make new lows. And that's important here. Then we go to the high, and we define the range high. And then we get some chop and chop and chop. And this is the area, especially phase B, where a lot of position building is being done. So in phase B, you usually have multiple tests like this one, which are called the STBs, secondary test in phase B. Also, this is a secondary test in phase A. And as you can see, it just forms a range with equal lows and a key swing low. So that should tell you something already. If you know about liquidity and if you know about how markets work, then this should already ring a bell. So this is your phase B, a lot of choppiness and a range forming. Now we go on to phase C. And phase C is interesting because in phase C, you will have a spring. And a spring is a liquidity grab, a false breakout. I don't know what people call it these days, but it is a false break of the low end of the range in terms of accumulation. If it's distribution, it is a false break at the top of the range. So we get a false break here, and it's very important to look at what happens after the false break. So we have multiple equal lows. We have 4 lows here, and then a key low that formed here. And what happens is that if people are buying in this range, they place the stop below the low of the range or below the equal lows, because that's support. And the stop of a buyer is a sell order. So you can imagine as soon as these levels break, a lot of selling is going to happen because everyone is being stopped out. And you also get people selling the breakout of the level to the downside. So you basically get a lot of selling. But if we take a look at what the market does, it just violently, as soon as it breaks a low, it shoots up and we get a bullish candle and another bullish candle. These are big, big candles. That tells you that despite all the selling, the market moves up. So something is happening there. And this is essentially where a bigger player absorbs all the selling. So if there's a lot of selling, he can buy without issues, without the issue of pushing price and getting into a drawdown. So this is really crucial to understand. When there is a lot of selling and the market isn't going down, something is up and you want to pay attention to the price action. And this is just a clean example of absorption of liquidity. The next candle, we close above this key level. And then this just should just tell you, okay, we are off to the top of the range. That's that. Let's take a look at phase D. I'm going to zoom out a bit to make it a bit more clear. So let me put in the line. Basically, that's your phase C in my opinion. And then your phase D is just this. And then phase E is your new uptrend. So let me put it in phase C, phase D, phase E. So there are a lot of ways you can trade the Wyckoff method. And I trade the breakout of structure. So I wait for phase A, I wait for phase B, I wait for phase C, and then at phase D, I enter. Now, I'm not going to give you the clean rules that I use because that will give my edge for free. will give you my edge for free. And that's not what I do. But this to me is significant structure. And if we break that and close above like we did after the false break, that to me is a confirmation that I want to be long. And I tend to enter at the breakout, so at that area. Now, there are so many people that use Wyckoff, the Wyckoff method these days. And I also know people that wait for the spring, enter at the retest of the spring, and then target the equal highs at the high of the range. This is a more risky strategy with better risk to reward, but I like to buy a breakout of structure, a break and close above. This is also something you can consider a break and close above. But I like to buy these areas and just hold into phase E to my target. So I don't buy a spring retest and target the upside of the range. That's a strategy that you can use. It's more risky and I like to have a bit of a higher win rate. So I enter at a clean break of clean structure, close above. I don't wait for a retest. And then I play phase E. So basically I play phase D and phase E. Those are the phases I play when I enter a trade. So hopefully it's all clear. In terms of distribution, it's basically the other way around. I'm not going to give an example right now, simply because it's just the same thing, but in the other way around. Now, one thing that is different from distribution and accumulation is that after a distribution, you tend to get more aggressive moves. So this is accumulation and it tends to be slower. And as you can see, you get multiple retests, retest here, break structure, another retest, break structure, another retest. And in terms of distribution, if you get your distribution range, it tends to just do a small pullback and then collapse. So that's kind of different. And in terms of accumulation, you tend to get a retest and a retest entry, but in terms of distribution, you not always get that entry. So that's something to keep in mind when trading this method. So yeah, hopefully it's clear. Now it's up to you, if you understand this method, to really think about, okay, how am I going to build a strategy around this? Because it's quite subjective. And this is hindsight analysis. So of course, it's easier to explain these things. But it's up to you to really build a strategy around this concept. And I've done this. I do have a mechanical strategy, very rule-based, very easy to follow and execute, that allows me to always enter in phase D after all this. I don't want to be sitting in a trade during this range. I wait for the false break, I wait for confirmation, and then I enter to follow this move. And am I always right? No, I win about 65% of the time. So sometimes you get a false break at the high of the range and then we collapse down. And this was redistribution instead of accumulation. It happens. It's up to you to build a strategy around this. If you have any questions or you struggle with that, leave a comment down below and I will help you out. If you are interested in working one-on-one with me, because I do take on coaching clients to mentor one-on-one, explaining this stuff, building a strategy with you, etc., click the link in the description, book a free call with me, and we can discuss things before basically taking the decision. So hopefully this was clear, and hopefully you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next video.